So I was doing pretty good for 6, 7 months, but then I came into a deep, I would say, probably like a deep depression, but more like hit rock bottom, like feeling like ultimate failure. But I know those thoughts are not my thoughts, nor they are not Heavenly Father's thoughts, because Heavenly Father would never tell me or anybody that we are failures. It was the adversary that pretty much convinced me, saying, you're a failure, you have no room in this church whatsoever because you came home early. And so, unfortunately, I believed those thoughts for a long, long time. And so I was inactive for 4 years after my mission. I was just going along, just kind of go day in, day out, just not worrying about going to church. It's like, this is like my biggest regret. I wish I never left the church. And then I noticed that I wasn't being myself. I became more distant from my family and friends. I got more irritated easily, and that's not my character at all. I hardly get mad or anything like that. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. And then after much trial and tribulation, I decided I knew what my life was missing. I missed that love, that feeling of going to church, going to the temple. And so I decided to come back to church earlier this year. January was when I made the decision to come back to church and just kind of test it out. But I knew I was going to come back. And what helped me the most was the love of the people in my YSA ward, the love of my roommates, the love of my family. Love is the key to extend to other people, because that's what Heavenly Father intended for that to happen. He knew certain people would come into my life and bring me back. And so that is just what happened. One of my best friends, she was my visiting teacher. She was the Relief Society president in the ward at the time. And so the 2 days after I decided, okay, I'm dedicated to this, I'm going to come back to church, going to get my temple recommend back, she died from a car accident. And that really touched my heart and got me really thinking. It's like, okay, she was like my missionary, like I was a missionary to others, but who do I lean on? It's like she was my source of light with me at the time. And it's like, what now? And so I just kind of sat back and it's like, okay, just kind of sat back and realized, why is this happening? Like, what's the source of it? What's the purpose of the learning experience? After a while, I decided to stop asking why, because that doesn't help at all. I just asked, what can I learn from this? And so I just put my strength back on. I put back my whole armor of God back on and just went for it. And now that I'm back to the church and I'm back as a temple worker, I've never been happier in my life. And something I learned is that failure, depression, and anxiety do not define who you are. Those are things that we feel, but you are so much more than that. And I hope those people who are watching that, they take that to heart, because it's true. Don't let the adversary tell you otherwise, because he just wants to bring you down, because he knows you got more going for you in your life than he does.